Houston man tonight is taking on the city of Houston. He is suing, saying he has the constitutional right to feed the homeless this Thanksgiving and any other day that he chooses.
Fox 26's Damalie Keith is live at Houston City Hall with more details on this. Damalie?
Yeah, you may remember the charitable feeding ban went into effect a few years ago, making it illegal to feed the homeless. Well, Philip Paul Bryant says it shouldn't be against the law to give food to someone in need. He says it should be the other way around, a crime not to give.
Of just trying to make sure a fellow human doesn't starve.
It sounds simple enough.
We aren't asking for anything else than to be able to give food to those that are less fortunate. Please let us do it.
Houston City Council members say they passed the charitable feeding ban to ensure homeless people receive food prepared under health code regulations, and so those in need will turn to an organization to eat, so they will receive other resources, services, and shelter as well.
Many of them take probably no more than 150 people. How many homeless are there? You cannot fit all the homeless into the shelters.
We pursued this lawsuit because we felt the city was trying to disenfringe not only on the less fortunate, but also trying to discourage good people, good Samaritans from doing the right thing.
It's Thanksgiving. It's the whole purpose of this holiday is to share food and eat. Let us practice our religion. Let us follow our faith. That's all we're asking.
If someone doesn't give them food, they won't have food to eat that night.
Bryant says a number of groups wanting to set up outdoors and feed the homeless this Thanksgiving are discouraged for fear of being punished by the police.
There's going to be a lot of people who are on that border of saying, yeah, do we feed them, do we not feed them, do we want to go to jail, do we want to get a ticket?
Now, those who want to gather and feed the homeless have to first get permission from the city, and depending on where you plan to set up, you'll have to get permission from the property owner as well. There is a $500 fine for violating the ban, and you could go to jail if you don't pay that fine. We're live in downtown Houston. I'm Damalie Keith, Fox 26 News.
Did you suffer property damage during Hurricane Harvey only to have your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your insurance company did you wrong because they didn't pay for your claim, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights. Call me today, 833-3HARVEY. Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it's important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
A local pastor is fed up, and he's challenging the Houston homeless feeding ordinance.
And the city requires you to get a permit if you are going to share food. He can't get a permit because he doesn't know where he's going to share food.
Philip Paul Bryant regularly keeps cans of tuna and water bottles in his car to hand out to homeless people. But under the current city ordinance, he's breaking the law. His attorney says Bryant does this because his faith teaches him to help the less fortunate.
This law that's in place, it's a mean-spirited law. It's against, charity. It's against kindness. It's against doing the right thing.
Eric Dick says they plan to fight this till the mayor and city officials overturn what some believe is a misguided ordinance.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights.
Call the Dick Law Firm now at 1-833-3HARVEY.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
Property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Call me right now.
Breaking the law, one meal at a time, feeding the homeless.
It is morally wrong to make it a crime to give food.
A Houston man who feeds the homeless because of his faith is suing the city, challenging the established charitable feeding ban. The often debated ordinance has banned sharing food in public groups of more than 5 people without city permission since 2012.
The city says you can give food to 5 people, not 6. What are you supposed to tell the 6th person? I met my quota today?
The city wants to dismiss Philip Paul Bryant's lawsuit.
That's a crime? What does this world come to? It's a sad day whenever trying to prevent a fellow human from starving is a crime.
The city says the ordinance aims to curb trespassing and littering, both of which were already prohibited in the municipal code prior to the passing of the ordinance. While some Houstonians are in support of the lawsuit,
I really hope he wins his case, and I really hope they lift those sanctions so we can be able to give more to the needy.
So if you're willing to help more than 5 homeless people, you should be able to do that.
Some even challenge the city's support of their citizens.
The city isn't going to take care of their homeless people. That's their people. Somebody got to take care of them. So why can't we take care of them?
A question Houstonians will continue to ask as long as the ban remains.
Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it is important you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Hi everybody, about to start the radio show in a few minutes. Be on call in a little bit later. If you want to chat with me, just write some stuff.
You can tell now at the end of the show, my boy, it's hoarse, it's dry, then I got to yell for the Longhorn game tonight. Oh my God. Okay. The less is more. The less I can talk to.
So whenever Chris gets here, he's going to text me. I need you to run. We'll get him at the end of this first segment.
Okay.
I'm here for you.
He confirmed that he's going to be here?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to put as many links as I can on.
Is he up for re-election right now?
He is.
And that includes a lot of things that we can talk about.
I didn't see the extra comment that we had about him last week, did you? I didn't see the comment we had about him last week.
I had a good comment about him. He's a good guy.
Sometimes the value of the coins is about 25% to 40%.
Okay.
You want to sell that building? Do it now. I will have a link to the actual. I already put a link to that. Breaks. And then the new link, they give wired headphones in. You're going to buy that for $9. And also the battery prices. I would recommend, if you have older iPhone, and you think your battery's weakening, do it before January 1st. So you've got about 3 months or so, 3.5 months or so. Because Apple quietly, they didn't want to talk about this earlier this week, but they raised the iPhone replacement battery prices from $29 up to $49, up to $69 in some places. So go ahead and get your battery replaced. With that, I also want to point you to another one of my son technology sites. It is called iHeartVehicles.com. And if you want the latest and greatest on some of the new vehicles, if you're looking for a new car, a new truck, I just updated some things. So I had the Toyota Highlander, really cool Lexus 500, LS 500H, cool $103,000 I was doing in a few weeks ago. This week I'm in a Fiat 500, little 4-door Fiat type of thing, which is pretty sexy too. So I do cover the car industry, the tech industry, the carbon industry, the travel industry, and of course, all the high-tech industry too. With that, we're going to start the sign-off process. Shannon, thank you so much for keeping us on the air. Enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody out there, be safe. If you have questions, email. Go to hightechdexon.com. You can find Michael Garfield. And you can get me here every Saturday on air. And if for some reason you get bumped for radio for a football game, which we have to carry on air, you can go online. That's why you get the iHeartRadio app. And you can listen to me at your heart's content through the podcast. For all of us who have been part of the show, we do thank you for tuning in. My name is Garth. The show is officially over.
It's Saturday, September 15th. What's new today on the free iHeartRadio app? iHeartRadio! There's still time to join us VIP style at our iHeartRadio Music Festival in Vegas. Just listen to iHeartRadio Music Festival Radio in the app, and you're automatically entered. Plus, football's back. Check out our Job Jams playlist to get all the stadium anthems with one tap. And don't forget, you've always got this station in your pocket, streaming 24/7 on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio! All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free. For window replacement you can trust, visit GulfCoastWindows.com.
With Whisper Video and find out who wins our brand new F-150 Super Crunch Rock. Saturday, September 15th, 6 to 8 p.m. Only at Planet Ford on 59 and up.
KPRC in Houston.
An iHeart radio station.
From the gallery furniture made in America studios. Welcome to KPRC 950.
I didn't push anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch anything. Okay, I don't know why. It's all quiet here. The engineer hadn't told me what's going on, but we should be starting soon. So our guest today is going to be Chris Daniel, and I have Philip Paul Bryant, who's also going to be here too. He's co-hosting with me. He's playing wingman, guys. Oh, hey. Hey, everybody. We're waiting on Chris Daniel. He's notoriously late, the district clerk. This is where he showed me it was, if I could see. Okay, we'll talk about Hurricane Florence for a while. Just general hurricane season, kind of the hurricanes that are going on. I'm going to talk about, homeowners insurance to kind of tied with that, the type of policies you want insurance companies to avoid. Talk about like Jerry Patterson opposing George P. Bush, Beto and Willie Nelson, and we're going to see what's going on with the district clerk in Harris County and talk about a number of other subjects. It's gone quiet. Interesting. Oh, wait, hold on. We can talk to her. Let me remember how to do this. Hold on. There's a way to talk to her through this.
I have you in queue right now,
Okay.
so I can hear you.
Okay, cool. No, everything okay?
Yes,
We just don't. We don't hear anything over here.
Because it is in automation right now, and then as soon as we hit that first spot block, that first 1 minute commercial segment, then you're gonna hear it.
Cool. Then I'm just gonna hang out and just do what you say to do. Thank you. I was talking to the engineer guys. That's who I was talking to because it just got real quiet here. I was confused. I'm still learning this stuff.
Today we're going to be talking about hurricane preparedness. We're here at the Eric Dick Show. We're live in the studio here. It's going to be fun. Special guest Chris Daniels, Harris County clerk, district clerk. So we're going to be talking about some disaster stuff. Stay tuned. This is Eric Dick Show live. Okay. See you guys right there.
Yeah, man. Look.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
Hurricane Harvey may be the most costly storm in history. And if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, this is America. We have rights. You have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. There's always hope. Call me today at 833-3HARVEY.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks. Looks like Florence is just it's a major flood.
Yeah.
That's really done a lot of damage.
Oh,
there we are.
Traffic Center. Inbound side of the Southwest Freeway around Wesleyan. The backup stretching now from the West Park Tollway split. We also have heavy traffic on the west side moving northbound. That backup now stretching almost from Briar Forest, all due to the closure north of the Katy Freeway. I'm Stephen Foss in the 24-hour traffic center.
This report is brought to you by Gallery Furniture.
Mattress Mac Gallery Furniture saying you can't mark those big games on a frustrating backlog set. Go out there, other furniture stores, backlog set. Come to Gallery Furniture. Buy fabric or leather upholstered furniture by Solid Wood Furniture made in America. Gallery Furniture delivers today.
This is Matt Thomas. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, you need professional help. Top Tax Defenders. If you receive a letter from the IRS, don't ignore it. If you're being audited, have years of unfiled tax returns, or worse yet, you are being issued a wage garnishment or bank levy, you need Top Tax Defenders.
It's simply too risky to fight the IRS without the knowledge and experience of top tax defenders and their attorneys and tax specialists. Call them now, 713-489-7792. That's 713-489-7792 or online, toptaxdefenders.com.
Opinions provided on the Eric Dick Show are for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. You should contact your attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem. The opinions expressed on the Eric Dick Show are that of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the opinions of this station or iHeartMedia.
When you've got big problems, you need to have a big, you need Eric Dick, homeowner insurance lawyer and trustee for the Harris County Department of Education. This is the Eric Dick Show.
All right, folks, I'm back for more, back for a lot of exciting worlds of lawyerism, politics, insurance law, and just all around, just whatever we feel like talking about, I guess. I have sitting with me today Philip Paul Bryant of Kojic Pack and many businesses.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Just jumping in, I'm a homeowner's insurance attorney, obviously, elected to the Harris County Department of Education, which most people don't even know exists. It's really a fascinating organization, which we should talk about sometime. And so Hurricane Florence, that hit, and it hit big.
Yeah.
It looks like it was reduced from a Cat 5 with just crazy windstorms, or maybe Cat 4 down to a Cat 1. But the big thing there, so you got 100-mile-an-hour winds. You got this just gigantic, like flooding event where you had waves, 80-foot waves, just enormous waves kind of coming through.
I think they said nearly 10 trillion gallons of water is going to be coming in.
Yeah, just a crazy amount of water coming in. And so, we experienced a heavy flooding event here as well with Hurricane Harvey. But so what I'd like to kind of talk about a little bit is what people don't realize is there's different types of kind of insurance that kind of play here when you have a flood event like we did have with Harvey and also with Florence. Florence seems like it's going to be just, if it's possible, worse flooding event than we had here with Harvey. But it's clear that it's gonna be bad, and I'm sorry for everyone out there having to go through that. But so what we can kind of talk about a little bit is your basic different types of policies, where you have your homeowner's insurance, your typical your windstorm, fire, theft, that type of insurance. That's where you see normally advertised with your State Farm, Farmers, AAA, what have you. Then you also have NFIP, which is your National Flood Insurance Program. Now that's an interesting type of policy, and that is it's a government kind of funded, subsidized technically, which there gets all sorts of ethical and interesting questions on whether or not we should subsidize insurance. And there's a long history with NFIP. And in Texas and in other coastal regions, you have like some type of government funded or even government backed windstorm insurance, which we have Texas windstorm insurance. And there's some serious problems we've been having with Texas windstorm insurance since Hurricane Harvey. But looking at Florence, like it looks like it's going to be bad. I mean, Philip, did you see any of the articles or where how big this storm was? Because it was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty scary. And obviously coming out of Harvey last year, so we're just I don't know if there's a such thing as hurricane PTSD, but just seeing water and seeing all this stuff again just kind of scares you, and it's also kind of since we did experience it here firsthand last year, it kind of makes us also want to kind of reach out, donate some stuff. A lot of us have extra clothes and shoes and toiletries, and so I from the people I've been speaking with, just want to know how they can be involved and what they can do to try to help the Carolinas.
That's right. So, we got flooded really bad, and a person that really did a good job with the flooding in Harris County, we actually have here today, Chris Daniel, and he can tell us all about the flooding and just the craziness.
Harris County District Clerk.
That is Harris County District Clerk.
10 years, 100 years now, man. He's
about 7.5, 8 years. And Eric, it's a real pleasure as your Harris County District Clerk to be here today, especially on your new radio program.
Well, it's great for you to be here, and of all days, a day not far from whenever Harvey hit, and when we had this horrible tragedy in the Carolinas. And I want to thank you very much because you did such a good job dealing with all the flooding in Harris County that I don't think anybody wanted, and no one wanted to deal with that job. And you did such a good job with that.
Well, I appreciate that. And there's a lot of backstory that never got told by the media, not because they weren't trying to cover it, but because there were so many heroes and unsung heroes of Harvey. To put it in context for the listeners, as a native Houstonian, I've been personally flooded twice in the city of Jersey Village in 1998 and again in Tropical Storm Allison in 2001. And during Harvey, my own mother lost everything in her home in Friendswood as 5 feet of water descended into her house. And it is an unfortunate experience of mine to have to deal with flooding in Houston, especially with the Memorial Day flood and the Tax Day flood, and how we practiced our disaster plans from both those floods and managed the courthouse and managed the dockets and managed canceling jury service and getting the word out to the public that, hey, do not drive into a high water, turn around, don't drown at the courthouse. And all that prepared us for Harvey so that when other agencies had not yet practiced their disaster plan, we were already set up days before with emergency computers and equipments and generators in the various places where we were supposed to be for emergency court.
Well, you guys still, sorry, Eric, but you guys still have a lot of house guests as a result of Hurricane Harvey. I know the criminal court judges and team is hanging out in your building. How does that feel, and what's the plan there?
It's a new normal, and we are all getting along now. There were some growing pains initially. I mean, let's be honest. We had one judge try to throw another judge in jail for not getting off the bench fast enough.
Wow.
And we had some other judges basically kick the DAs out of their suite area into the hallway. And then another judge come back and says, no, you can't be out in the hallway, both claiming fire code violations. But it is a new normal. We are now getting along fine. And unfortunately, it is predicted that not till the middle towards end of 2020 will we be back in that particular building. But when we do get back into that building fully, we're going to have a whole bunch of new elevators, a whole bunch of more elevators, more space in general because the sheriff is not really moving back into that building, and it's going to be a great facility going forward.
So just a couple things. One, I think would be important for the listeners is to explain what the district clerk does, because I think a lot of people have no clue what Harris County District Clerk is.
The district clerk's office is a statutory office that was created in response to the growth needed in Texas. The basic founding fathers of Texas had your basic 6 or 7 offices: treasurer, sheriff, county clerk, county judge, et cetera, et cetera. But as time progressed, it was very clear you needed more courts. So they created state district courts, your old-fashioned circuit courts where folks would ride on horse and buggy from county to county. And then you had to have a clerk to keep those records. In all other states, the title would be clerk of the court. In Texas, it's the district clerk for the district judges.
Cool. And so your role, currently as a district clerk, what kind of do you do day to day?
Call me the traffic cop, if you will, of all filings going in and out of the courthouse. So when Mr. Dick yourself files something in our courthouse, you would either file that electronically, preferably, or by paper, and we would accept it and then hand it off to a randomly assigned judge for it to then proceed judicially. And then the judge would then assign electronically, hopefully, his order at the end of the case, and you would have an entire file that would normally be paper, by the way, now electronic for anybody to use, view, etc. And that not only saves taxpayer money long term, but it makes it faster and easier, better for justice to proceed. But I also handle, and very unpopular duty, by the way, but a basic constitutional duty, your fundamental right to serve on jury duty here in Harris County.
Oh boy, I bet you're popular, everywhere you go.
Unpopular for somebody in Harris County at least once every 3 years. Now, you'd be surprised how many people want to serve and want to be on a jury. And as time goes forward, we're going to continue to implement technology to make that faster, easier, and better as well. The other major function that we do, by the way, that most people don't realize is we do passports.
Well, that's excellent. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about a lot of great stuff with Chris Daniel. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Eric Dick and Philip Paul Bryant's
wingman.
He's wingman in it today. Thanks, guys. I'm still in the triggers. She was trying to tell us I wouldn't.
Now, and then we can keep talking about the flood. We can talk about how.
Yeah, we'll talk about the flood for a while. We got a bit of time. I wanted to kind of go into some other stuff. They want me to talk about Prop B, which I want to talk about Prop B anyway. And then we can talk about some political stuff too. Like I liked what was going on with Patterson and Bush. I think that's kind of interesting. At least deserves discussion.
Sure.
I'll just run into it. And we got a good Facebook Live audience going.
You're the family members of veterans, you're the supporters of veterans. I want to thank all your small businesses out there.
Oh man! So you made it.
Whether you got cash or
well, that 16 curve. Once I got trapped, and doing that one exit, was toast.
That's a weekend too. It's bad. It's worth it. With PTSD, have a place to go.
So they got you in. They just let you right in.
It's 877-717-PTSD. That's 877-717-7870. 877-717-PTSD. Veterans.
Hey, Philip, are you going live as well? Cool.
We're all behind you. We're all here from you. There is an answer. Call Camp Hope. It's free to you. 877-717-PTSD.
This is your opponent, and I think it's important that you know your rights.
Have they doing anything? They just
sat next to me today at the Delta Sigma Theta event.
You have the right to call me for free consultation.
It seemed pretty serious.
7 rights.
Shouldn't have any money. So she's relying on.
Don't let your homeowners insurance company take advantage of you.
Oh, you never know what's going to
happen. 833-7 rights.
As your homeowner's insurance,
you never know what's going to happen. Hey guys, how are y'all doing? You never know what's going to happen. I think we can talk about that some.
Well, occasionally I like to stop and just say thanks.
And you've done, to be fair,
for us.
Up and down, left
Our
and right.
friends at US Coins have been sponsoring the show.
I'm not saying you are, but what we can talk about is like the connection you've done, use social media, interact more with all the lawyers,
you are selling your coins,
use their information, family,
US Coins, coming in, you're bragging on the show, and we appreciate it. You're having a great experience. US Coins, 910 outside the loop. 713-464-6860.
Come on, yeah, we're piloting that right now with David Farscore. You want me to talk about that? Yeah.
Tax defenders. If you receive a letter
e-resets and e-hearings.
If you're being audited, have years of unfiled tax returns, or worse yet, you're being issued a wage garnishment or bank levy using top tax defenders. It's simply too risky to fight the IRS without the knowledge and experience of top tax defenders and their attorneys and tax specialists. Call them now, 713-489-7792. That's 713-489-7792 or online, toptaxdefenders.com.
Try new endless pan pizzas at Seasons, available in both Meat Eater and Supreme. Now
are we allowed to talk about the Texas Lawyer Facebook page since that's not political?
We talk about politics, that's fine. That might mean is that Burgess, she wants to come up here. She can. I don't care. I'll talk to Marilyn. What? They're looking at me. What are you guys trying to tell me?
Should we be talking right now?
No, I was just playing on the internet, talking to all my friends on Facebook. That's what I was doing. Anyway, so we're back. We're back with my radio show, and Philip Paul Bryant is helping me out today. He is just a fantastic go-getter, and our special guest today is the District clerk,
The one and only.
and Chris Daniel. What we're talking about is how Hurricane Harvey really devastated Houston. But what I'd like to talk about is some of the great things that Chris Daniel has done with the role as district clerk, made kind of the office more accessible to fellow lawyers. He's been, to be fair, he's been just a fantastic district clerk. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, he really has tried, and I can tell. But so,
have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
Hurricane Harvey may be the most costly storm in history, and if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, this is America. We have rights. You have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3-HARVEY. That's 833-3-HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. There's always hope. Call me today at 833-3-HARVEY.
A Houstonian claiming his religious freedom is being denied might soon see his lawsuit against the city dismissed.
And it appeared that Judge Kyle Carter was thinking about dismissing the case, saying that Philip doesn't have standing.
Philip Paul Bryant filed a lawsuit in 2017 claiming his religious rights to charitable giving were being infringed upon by a 2012 Houston Feeding the Homeless ordinance. In the city of Houston, you can give 5 homeless people a sandwich, but that 6th sandwich, that's the one that will cost you.
Could be fined $500 to $2,000, or you could even take the risk with going to jail.
According to his attorney, Eric Dick, Bryant's case may not find a home in Harris County Civil Court.
They're saying that my client, he waited over a year to file a lawsuit since he found out about the law. If people just found out about the law and they want to sue the city for this illegal act, I'm happy to represent them for free. I think that it's a mean world whenever acts of charity are criminal.
To be fair, the ordinance doesn't outright ban the giving of food to the homeless. It just creates a lot of hurdles to jump through to do it lawfully.
My children are a big deal in this, and teaching them how to give to the community. If they want to make 10 sack lunches and go hand them around downtown Houston, I shouldn't have to go to my government office in order to obtain permission just to give those sandwiches.
Tell me, Chris, about all the stuff you've done.
Sure. So electronic courts, for example, started as a pilot program in 2002 under Charles Baccaris with 2 basic courts, and was expanded under subsequent district clerks up to 8 courts with a few permissible courts. And under our administration, we went totally electronic in all civil courts. By the time the mandates came down for family courts to go electronic, we were already halfway there, and by 2015, all family courts were electronic. And with that, we had another mandate come down by the Texas Supreme Court that we need to have criminal courts electronic, with the exception of juvenile.
And that the criminal courts, that you're talking about criminal discovery, which is kind of you've just completely opened the door, which is kind of a good thing, I think. But so tell me about the criminal discovery.
Well, through our website, as you're tied to the case as an attorney, you can now get directly from the DA's office all their electronic discovery videos, DWI videos in particular, and the whole purpose is to make it faster, easier, better for the attorneys to represent their clients and seek justice.
Now, what's interesting, I kind of want to give a little backstory here, is so when I started practicing law about 10 years ago, I did a number of criminal cases. How you used to get your files, you'd have to, and usually the DA would freely give you their stuff, but sometimes they really didn't have to. And you could serve them discovery. So you couldn't just mail them that. You'd have to go to the court, kind of file something at the courthouse. So you'd have to either wait for a hearing or actually drive down there and file this stuff. And it was really a kind of a pain. A pain, where to do any type of discovery. But that's gone now. So now attorneys, doing criminal defense work in their comfort of their own home in their pajamas at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever time. They can e-file their discovery to the the DA's office, and it's a complete different world. And we aren't we may have been. Are there other counties that do this?
No, in fact, Fort Worth and Dallas were trying to do something along these lines, and the best they could do was get the charging instruments online, which is also part of our ongoing process, because not only did the Supreme Court mandate that something be filed electronically into the case, but we recognized that to be totally electronic, we had to have all facets of justice electronic. That includes e-warrants, e-subpoenas, e-citations, and so on and so on.
So I just want to kind of step back. You're saying no other county in Texas out of the 254 counties does electronic discovery for criminal cases?
Not that to my knowledge. Most counties are accepting electronic filings per se, and then going behind the filings back and printing it out on a printer and sticking it in the paper file, which defeats the whole purpose of electronic filing. The goal is to not only be faster, easier, better, and more indexed so that the attorneys can do a basic Google search on their own case and find rapidly what they need to represent their client, but to save taxpayer money.
And be environmentally friendly as well.
Well, that's a token benefit, because when you're saving trees, you're also not having to pay for all that toner and printers and paper and so on and so on, plus personnel.
Well, it just makes basic sense. Easier access to justice, costs people less money.
But it's also a safety issue. When we implemented e-subpoenas, that saved 32 positions for the sheriff's office to then put back into the courtroom as bailiffs that no longer had to process subpoenas, because it was a automated electronic process. And that came vital, especially after Harvey, where we were doubled up in the courthouse.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, you've really done a good job there. So how about like where you've tied in social media to the district clerk's office? Why don't you talk?
I have a love-hate relationship with social media. My first race was for the Board of Trustees for Lone Star College System, of which I won. And I beat the board chairman by using a little-known website called MySpace. And MySpace was revolutionary at that time. And now we're having Facebook and Twitter and so forth. And I have attorneys even contact me on LinkedIn and Nextdoor, the app. And what we do with all that is when they contact me, I personally respond. We get their email address, and we get them funneled to the right location to get their problem resolved. And the beauty of that is that, especially on the Texas Lawyer Forum on Facebook, the various groups and pages, they're able to not only get their question answered, but help other lawyers who might have a similar question get their question answered. It's not always the answer they want to hear. For example, there's a snafu going on right now with sensitive data documents, where the Texas Supreme Court has asininely created a category of sensitive data, where when you file something electronically, and I'm sorry to get technical, audience, but when you file something electronically and you market sensitive data to protect your client's best interest, well, guess what? We're not allowed to show that online at all. That became such a problem because if Eric files something, he knows he files something and I can't show it. How do we explain that? So we created an electronic index that at least showed that it had been filed, but you still had to download and view elsewhere. You couldn't view it online. And that has created a whole bunch of headaches for lawyers out there with this new restricted category. But again, that's just trying to solve the Supreme Court's problem for them.
Well, it sounds like you've done the best you can do. Yeah, so
he also implemented passports in his building, because that wasn't done before under I think Jackson.
That wasn't done under any district clerk in Texas, except for in Harris County, except for the surrounding counties. And so we decided to take the bull by the horns and say, look, Stan's right here with his birth certificates. Why can't we just finish the gap and come up with a passport service? I'm sorry, the post office has set the bar so low that when we get these comment cards coming in about how wonderful we are, it's like, well, it's a no-brainer. We want to serve you, public. We want you to come in and have the best experience possible while you're already downtown for an unfortunate reason in court, or to get a birth certificate, a marriage license, a DBA for your new business, a liquor license for that kind of business, or you're serving jury duty. Come on down anyway and get your passport. Get a new passport, get it renewed. And oh, by the way, we go through Philadelphia instead of Baltimore, and therefore our passports are processed faster. And therefore it takes an average of about 14 business days instead of 4 to 6 weeks to get your passport back.
One other question. I know a lot of viewers are wanting to know: is there something that that can be done about those lines in the morning to get into the court? And I assume
Yes.
it's a lot of it
Yes.
is because of the criminal court being combined.
Correct. Now, once we're back in the jury assembly building, which unfortunately became an unnecessary 11-foot deep swimming pool during Harvey, once we're back in that building, a lot of those lines will go away automatically. And that has a beautiful remodel set, or it has its own kiosks and its own covered entryway. But Constable Precinct 1, Alan Rosen, actually handles the security that comes in and out of the courthouse. And he has been piloting programs to put people through the other courthouse security doors so that they're not having to necessarily bottleneck right there at the front door, but they could go to the juvenile building, or they can go to other buildings where there are metal detectors. We can't get rid of the metal detectors. We've got to keep our judges and our lawyers safe. We're dealing with a lot of hot topics at the courthouse: divorces, criminal cases, etc. And we need to keep everybody safe.
Feeding the homeless.
Feeding the homeless. But at the end of the day, thankfully, Constable Rosen is working hand in hand with our office to pilot these different ways to get people funneled into the courthouse through other buildings.
Sure. We're going to take a break.
That's that music.
Yeah, that's the music. They're giving me a hint. This is Eric Dick. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Chris Daniel and Philip Paul Bryant's right here with me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Too fast? Too much?
No, that's fine.
Wasn't too technical, was it, Brian?
Yeah.
Some people.
Are you still talking about MySpace? You're talking about what dial-up internet back then?
Tom was a fan, man.
Yeah, you just talking to close your MySpace account, by the way.
Is it still up? I thought I deleted it. I thought I deleted it 10 years ago.
Oh man, I never had a MySpace. That was for musicians.
Oh, it was
Back on Facebook Live.
I've been talking some.
Feeding Rocks. Can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding Rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign a petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding Rocks.
A lot of good people
At Lone Star Shed,
watching.
$15,000
What they want. I put the number. I put it on the Facebook. You guys want to call in? Call in. Let's go. Let's talk about maybe. Let's talk about politics a little bit.
This is Mario Lopez. So I'm planning to celebrate.
There's a lot of juicy stuff to talk about. A lot of juicy stuff to talk about.
Just say that I don't drink and drive. It's just not worth it. Because the DWI would cost you up to $17,000.
We had the Lincoln today in the Yes to Spotters parade.
You'd also lose your license. So plan
We're talking about
for the Monopoly car that we use in all our parades.
Go to jail. So a message from TechStop.
And I had a parade today. I had a block walk kickoff, and I had this candidate forum. And now y'all.
Just hustling. Hustling. It is grinding.
I've been hustling.
Been up till what, 7 in the morning? Run around.
You talking local, state, or national politics?
I want to talk about Jerry Patterson, where he's a Republican and he endorsed George B. Bush's opponent. And the reason why and all that, I think that's kind of interesting. It's at least people are talking about that. I'd also like to talk about a lot of people are upset that Willie Nelson's playing for Beto. And just kind of, man, I think Cruz is going to win that. I'm voting for Cruz, but that's an interesting. I think there's something there, at least interesting.
Disclaimer: Geico cannot guarantee you will be as happy as a clam. Unquote. The Geico legal team cannot
I
accurately
think it was pretty neck and neck until the National Party source.
They poured a lot of money into it because they got scared.
What's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today.
What's that going to do? I don't know.
So fun to say. What were we talking
and also, we need to talk about Prop B with the firefighters.
Yeah. I meant to go by there and get a couple of times.
Sometimes like everything in life has gone against us. Take a break from anxiety. And
I'll explain some of the city council issues with the Cenotaph in San Antonio and how they have already kind of boxed Bush in a little bit with regard to that.
Okay.
Now, I mean, he needs to take a leadership stand. Because, yeah, they already voted. Yeah, they've already
think they're hey guys, I'm back. Okay, so we got Chris Daniel here, we got Phil Paul Bryant, and let's talk about some politics. I know everybody loves talking about politics and maybe some gossip, and let's see where it goes.
Man, it's how you lose more friends.
Politics.
It's how you lose more friends.
Well, you know, I don't have many friends speaking. Right. When you don't have any, it's not hard to lose them. Okay, so what I found interesting is one of the person I think highly of is Bonnie Lugo was having a bit of a fit about how Jerry Patterson endorsed George P. Bush's opponent. And the whole kind of backstory, there's a lot of backstory with the Bushes and Trump and all that type of stuff. But I think really kind of the tie-in here and why a lot of people are just genuinely upset with the Bushes is George P. Bush's role with the Alamo and how a lot of people like my family were tied. We have relatives that fought in the Alamo. We have relatives basically in every Texas war. The first alcalde of Columbus is a relative. It's just like the history, at least in my family and many other residents in Texas, they have such a deep Texas history, and they're just highly offended is in how he's trying to commercialize, in essence, the Alamo. Have you heard anything? What do you think about that, Chris?
You know, it is a time for leadership. And I think with the best of intentions, the current land commissioner's office delved into trying to expand, preserve, and protect the Alamo. And unfortunately, too many businessmen and too many consultants got involved, particularly those that were not from Texas. And we have a mess on our hands. And a lot of it is a technical issue that is more complicated than a 20-second soundbite. For example, most folks don't know that the San Antonio City Council has already voted and kind of boxed Bush in as far as moving the cenotaph. The wonderful monument that's been there for over 100 years, that's my understanding, that really celebrates the defenders and heroes, State Board of Education, of the Alamo. And what the problem with that is that once they have by ordinance said that you shall move this, unless he steps up as a leader and says the dickens with your city council ordinance, it looks like he's kind of kowtowing to what they're demanding, what this Democrat city council is demanding.
Well, I mean, it is that, and that's true. He doesn't seem to really.
It's a time for leadership.
He's not. He doesn't seem like he's listening to his supporters. At least he's not listening to people in the Republican Party that have deep, Texas roots that just kind of have an emotional connection to. All this historical type of stuff, especially in an environment where we're looking at, maybe removing Sam Houston's statue, which I strongly disagree with. But you have that type of environment, and a lot of people are emotional about this.
This becomes a reduction to absurdity, reductio ad absurdum, to make a legal term. And at some point, we are doing our children, our grandchildren, our posterity a disservice by destroying history. And in some cases, it is better to preserve a bad history in place as a warning than it is to just destroy it and whitewash it and sweep it under the rug.
And I agree with that. I mean, that's a completely different topic. If you're talking about Confederacy and the Civil War, that's a completely different topic.
You brought that up. I was just talking about history in general.
But if you're talking about Texas history, it's like something just vastly different. Because you had people that were like Texas leaders refusing to succeed, refusing to go through that whole thing happening.
Well, let's take it back to the Alamo. You were talking about history here, and I was talking about tearing down history and sweeping history under the rug. Part of the problem with the expanded Alamo plan, or the criticism of the expanded Alamo plan, was you had an artist from Philadelphia who was trying to kind of de-emphasize the Battle of the Alamo itself and expand the 30,000-year history of what happened in that San Antonio region. And the problem is that that's not why people come to San Antonio. They don't come to San Antonio even to find out more about the Rough Riders, who were trained in the backyard of the Alamo, who were key and vital to not only the future of President Theodore Roosevelt, but also the Spanish-American War. They come because of the Battle of the Alamo, the icon of the battle. And for an outside Yankee to come in here and basically de-emphasize the purpose of people coming to the Alamo and expanding it the way that he did to increase the emphasis on 30,000 history, that again is, you're not communicating to your Texas base, you're not communicating to your outside visitors who come to this UNESCO site, and your folks that want to know more about why Texans are this independent, can-do spirit.
Yeah, I agree. And it's bad news whenever you're messing with the Alamo. And it can't get any more Texas than the Alamo. People jump up and down. They have a strong emotional connection. But how about the fact that Jerry Patterson, a pretty well-known, in a lot of different pockets of the Republican Party, you have him actually endorsing a Democrat, which is, a big no-no. But and what do you think about that?
I think he's making a statement. He must also be aware that he's never going to run for office again, because when people cross party lines to endorse Democrats, particularly in a race that's clearly going to be won by the Republican, you're committing political suicide. So he must firmly believe that this is his hill to die upon, and that he is going to try to make a statement to all that the handling of the Alamo has not been the way that he would have handled it, and that with the best of intentions, more leadership needs to step up to get the show on the road to protect Texas history.
I'll just be upfront. I can't vote for Bush, and I don't think I can vote for the Democrat either. But there's no way I'm going to vote for George P. Bush. Just no way. I think too many of my family members would be upset with me, both living and deceased. But so do you have any opinions on the Alamo, Philip?
Yeah, well, I think I was more concerned. I won't say concerned. I don't necessarily accept the fact that it would be political suicide to step across the aisle. I think in our PAC, Houston Area Coaching PAC, we do this on a regular basis. I think you have to judge and look at the candidates for who they are,
That's
what
fair.
they stand for, their
That's
background, some of their vision as well. Because I know Democrats that love Chris Daniels.
That's true. That's true.
And it's not necessarily because he's a Republican. It's because they think he knows what he's doing. They believe in the direction he's taking the district clerk's office, and it also works on the other side as well. Republicans just can't vote for someone just because they're Republican. Democrats can't vote for someone just because they're Democrat. I know we say it every election cycle, and I know every election cycle they go in and they just